Hey everyone, welcome to the Conversions webinar on LLMs, the travel industry customers' preferred new search engine. Welcome to our full kind of esteemed guests, who I'm kind of delighted to have with me, kind of in regards to kind of speaking on this topic today, and welcome to any of our people online who are kind of joining us, and hopefully we can make this a nice interactive session between all of us. To probably just kick off with some introductions for our kind of travel experts who are joining us today. Welcome to Alex from Panache. Alex runs the sales and operations team at Panache. They're one of the fastest growing cruise brands in the world, I think I'm right in saying. Sunday Times Rich List as of late, founded by cruise legend James Cole. Welcome, Alex. Thank you for joining us. We're really excited to kind of get your insights today. Welcome to Sophie from Newmarket. Newmarket is a group escorted touring company which has been kind of running for the last 40 years. Sophie's background was previously at Travelopia, I believe, kind of running Sovereign, Chatalia, and kind of the different kind of digital strategies there. She's taking Newmarket on their digital journey, with which is traditionally been more of kind of an offline business, starting their, I think, marketing with newspapers. Was it right, Sophie? Yeah. Welcome to Sophie. Really excited to have her here.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
Welcome to Mark from the Thinking Traveller. The Thinking Traveller are an ultra luxury kind of villa focused travel brand. Been founder led for the last 20 years. They took on a little bit of investment a couple of years ago. Have super ambitious growth plans for up until, let's say, kind of 2030. Before TTT, Mark ran all the travel sales across kind of the UK and US, kind of taking him to Boston and kind of from the UK as well. So delighted to have you, Mark. I think it would have been a shame if we didn't kind of get a ex-orderly veteran on the panel. So it's good to see you, and excited to hear what you've got to say.
Thanks. Nice to meet you all.
And lastly, I think welcome to Dan from Accord. Accord is a full service kind of digital agency founded in kind of 1988. Dan kind of runs the digital operations there and works, I guess, kind of with their respective travel clients. They're working with some of the leading travel brands in this space. So yes, we're really excited to kind of have Dan on to kind of talk about how he's kind of interacting with AI search, how it's affecting his clients, and really excited to have you here, Dan.
Great, thanks, Cameron.
No worries at all. And look, I think lastly, welcome to all of our friends online who are joining us. I think the purpose of today is to kind of really make this hopefully an interactive discussion. So we'll at some point kind of go to a poll or kind of a Q&A. But I think to potentially kind of just temper expectations on the polls. I was on a webinar a couple of weeks ago, similar to this, and the most interacted poll that we got was when a member of the audience put through the question of which of the celebrity traitors is going to be murdered this evening. So if we can potentially keep the polls travel focused versus reality TV, that would be awesome. But look, I think if this gets a little bit dull for anyone online and anyone is curious as to who should be murdered on the celebrity traitors, happy to go to poll on that particular one. Cool. Well, look, I think let's kick off. I think Dan, look, I think I'd love to kind of come to you first. I think in regards to kind of AI search and how I guess kind of you're thinking about it with kind of your respective clients. I think what types of conversations are you having with your clients, I guess, in regards to this kind of specific topic, and what problems are you guys kind of potentially looking to address with it as a whole?
Yeah, good question. I think really the AI search is going to transform travel, and the degrees to which it's doing that right now is varying across demographic and different travel businesses. But the fundamentals of sort of SEO, they remain. Having a strong technical website that still stands. However, it's really that content and that that content strategy that is going to need to change so that you give yourselves the best chance of appearing in those AI search results, and therefore getting that brand visibility there. So it's not just about your website and your website content strategy, it's also about how your brand appears more broadly across the whole of the internet. So, what is the brand sentiment in those AI results? Is it really represented, say? But then also understanding, prompts as well. What are the most suitable prompts to find your brand? It's not just about, quite sort of black and white keywords like beach holiday. It's much more involved in that, much more longer tail. So the content on your website, the content on your blog, across your socials needs to be reflective of the changing habits of the consumers and their changing search types, to be like, okay, it's not just beach holidays now. It might be, where's the best place to visit in July for an all-inclusive? I also like winter sports, that sort of thing, and having the content across the web to be able to appear for those types of searches.
That's really interesting. So, Sophie, kind of, I guess on that topic, how are you guys kind of positioning new markets, in regards to kind of, AI search? Is it a similar type of thing in which you guys are doing to Dan, or are you guys taking a slightly kind of different approach to, I guess, ensuring kind of maximal results from AI search?
Yeah, it's very similar to what Dan says. We have typically a more older audience at new markets. I think we'll be some of the last adopters of AI search in terms of our customers. But search still matters. It's just sort of been reframed. So your AI tools like your ChatGPTs, your Geminis, they're kind of playing more of a part at the top of the funnel now. So they're kind of shaping what search looks like before people even sort of come to Google. I think traditional search will still remain at the bottom of the funnel for more higher intent searches, but we do now need to be thinking more in terms of conversational terms. So those prompts that customers are putting into ChatGPT and framing your content to answer those prompts, think about what would they ask next as a follow-up. So I think really thinking about what your customer would look like in terms of their journey and what sort of things they'd be asking for when they're starting that sort of research phase for what destination they're looking to go to.
That's really interesting. I think, one of the things in which I think our audience is kind of, potentially interested in as well is like, how do you balance, for example, AI search type experimentation with, for example, proven strategies in which, for example, worked or kind of are working incredibly well, through your experience with Chitalia and Sovereign. How are you kind of going about, I guess, kind of this kind of testing framework in order to, I guess, rely on kind of what works versus kind of experimenting with kind of new and different channels?
Yeah, I think you really need to have a test and learn mindset. So obviously the SEO fundamentals are still there and will always still be there in some shape or form, but being open to testing, trying new things, being flexible with what you can do. So in terms of like writing on the blog, looking at what other things are coming through AI search, really getting to grips with what people are actually searching for. Keywords will still be important. They may not matter as much as we move into an AI search world, but the fundamentals will still remain, but be open to change as well.
Super interesting. Thanks for that. Alex, maybe just kind of jumping to you concerning, I know Panache are a super fast growing business. You guys are kind of scaling up in the UK and the US. In terms of how, I guess, AI kind of more broadly is kind of, affecting you guys on the sales and ops side of things, what types of things are you guys doing in order to kind of extract additional efficiencies from AI versus perhaps what you were doing kind of, 24 months ago?
It's a great question. The answer is different, it seems, every day. But we actually have an in-house, I think his job title has changed from AI engineer to AI architect recently. But we've got someone dedicated in terms of someone in the business who looks at AI within every function. What you guys are talking about in terms of AI searches, that's on the radar. I can't say I know lots about it. I know that we've appeared pretty high up in some of the AI Google searches recently, and we're almost working backwards on that one to figure out what we did right to do that, which more of a happy coincidence than a lot that we're doing. But in terms of what we're doing within the business, it is currently something it touches every part of what we do. With the work we do with you guys, there's the client-facing element of it. We're looking at a way of sort of boosting everyone's productivity rather than, I know there's a lot of stuff in the news about jobs being lost to AI, but we've said as a business that, we've said to the whole company that it's in no way looking to replace any jobs. It's to help people either take sort of busy work off them or manual work off them to allow them to do more work that might be a bit more engaging or more what they like to do. But the current priorities are, switch between a combination of client-facing work to sort of help our marketing, which is the work we do with you. And then we're looking at operational efficiencies to reduce stress on certain teams and parts of the business in operations. And then, who knows? We're learning every day, and that's why we've got someone in-house to work with that.
Nice. That sounds really interesting. Gosh, we should get our own AI engineer. I think that would be amazing to have in-house. Mark, is that kind of a similar thing in which you guys are kind of seeing over at TTT as to kind of what's what kind of?
Absolutely. And I was sort of smiling when Alex mentioned a bit about, we are seeing, I wouldn't say in huge volumes, but we're definitely getting a decent trickle through of, I found you on ChatGPT, and you sort of sat there scratching your head thinking, I wonder how it appeared in that. How did that happen? But everything that Alex has sort of said is what we're kind of looking at, particularly from efficiency, whether it be, post booking, being able to remove some of the admin burden that perhaps comes through and get some of those really simple questions that can be found embedded on the website, but clients today are just looking for the kind of easy route and a fast answer. So removing some of that kind of operational burden. Same on the front end with the sales teams. I think we are looking at, and certainly have had a conversation with you guys about lead engagement. We, as I'm sure there's plenty of other people on here, have tried sort of meta leads and generating leads via meta, which on the face of it, when we tried it as a director of sales, the leads just looked incredible. Like they were full of amazing information, right in the sweet spot in terms of what our budget, what sort of price point we were looking for. But trying to engage those people, particularly when they're in a different time zone, was really difficult. From a manual point of view. So then looking to bring in AI to maybe do some sort of that lead qualification point of view. And I'd also say for us, a little bit of, because we kind of operate at scale, a little bit of sort of itinerary design, that sort of thing is really powerful for us. But I'd echo everything that Alex has said.
That's super interesting. Actually, what you said there at the start concerning we found you on ChatGPT, I think is a really interesting point. I think, Dan, I know that obviously you're kind of running the digital, I guess, kind of on the agency side of things, and attribution is of course kind of a huge topic with which I'm sure you kind of work through with your clients. How are you going about, is kind of your attribution kind of strategies or kind of plans changing with kind of the development of AI search, and if so, like how are you thinking about kind of attributing effectively kind of going into kind of 2026?
Well, when it comes to search and search performance, it has to, because there's a huge volume of searches which aren't resulting in a click to a website. So that those sort of 0-click searches, and therefore the traffic volumes coming to website are potentially much lower, but also much higher quality, because by the time that they do arrive, they're going to be that much more qualified, having done their research, but potentially straight in a sort of LLM. So therefore, it's moving away from the idea of ranking positions, click-through rate for those, and measuring sessions on the site, and moving towards overall brand visibility in the LLMs and in those sort of AI results. And to be honest, the last 6 months have been a bit of a wild west in terms of measurement tools. They all promise the world, and not all of them can deliver. And they're almost catching up with the tech, as it were. So we've been very much evaluating, and SEMrush, being one of the leaders, has sort of brought out its latest tools very recently. So we'll think they'll kind of accelerate, but there are a number of others that are doing well, and so therefore, how can you measure that brand visibility and change that measurement framework slightly to measure those results?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting point. I think touching on SEMrush, I think what tools are you guys using and are finding kind of particularly successful at, I guess, kind of, achieving this? Are there any kind of, particular ones in which you'd recommend and why?
Yeah, like I say, the SEMrush have just brought out their latest One product, which gives you a good AI visibility sort of score, but it also brings in that prompt tracking. There are a couple of us, SE Ranking, Profound, and Bright Edge, are probably the ones which we've seen as more of the leading tools and worth a look at. They all offer something slightly different, so it needs evaluating on an individual basis. But yeah, it's having some sort of quantifier of success in the space is important to sort of qualify the efforts that are being made.
Really interesting, really interesting. So, Sophie, on the new market side of things, are there any, for example, tools in which you guys are using in order to, I guess, kind of, to a similar effect to Dan, I guess, kind of ensure attribution is there, to ensure tracking is there? What kind of things are you guys doing?
Yeah, so we also use SEMrush. We also have a proprietary tech with our agency for digital as well. So we lean on some of those insights. I don't think attribution will ever be perfect. I think we're in an industry and in a line of work that it just won't be there. But understanding which channels influence purchases and conversions instead of those that just close. So it's kind of that full funnel journey and knowing which part plays in each line. So I think using things such as like blended metrics and assisted conversions can paint a much bigger picture than just some last click stuff.
Yeah, I think it's worth just touching on that. It's much broader than just sort of click and attribute, isn't it? It's building up that bigger picture and looking at brand uplift studies, brand trackers, and econometrics at that higher level to understand how the overall media mix is delivering and sort of where efficiencies can be made within that.
Yeah, absolutely. Brand visibility is going to play such an important part. It's no longer clicks and impressions that we're kind of going for now. It's that much more bigger picture and the whole story itself.
That's really interesting. I think that's a really kind of good nugget to take away concerning, I guess, the importance of a brand going forward. I think just on that, what types of things are you guys doing in order to kind of, I guess, build out your kind of your brand profile in this market context, so that you guys are, for example, positioning yourselves at the forefront of those AI search results?
I think for us, it's more about connecting each channel, so no longer working in silos. Really connect all of your digital channels as well as your brand teams together, and that presents a much stronger image to the market itself. Monitoring your brand search terms and your direct traffic is a good example of indicators of awareness in the market as well. And I think working holistically across your whole marketing mix will be beneficial moving forward.
Super interesting. Alex, I think just kind of maybe just bouncing back to the sales side of things. I think you guys at Panache, of course, you guys are growing so fast. You guys are you guys have to be efficient. Are there any kind of particular tools in which you guys are using, I guess, on the sales side of things, which are kind of drastically improving your guys' efficiency for your kind of ultimately kind of large growth targets?
Yeah, absolutely. From a sales specific standpoint, we're using Systems X, which is I think it's actually called Sense, but we call it Systems X because that's the part of Sense that we use. And it is essentially a call listening and transcribing program, I guess. So I'm not very technical, but it has transformed the way that we approach call listening, the way that we approach training, and the way that we can look to transform that on the phone delivery of a million different things in terms of service, in terms of offers. And it was incredible how quickly we were able to get it up and running. I think we had 2 meetings, and then they had a meeting with our phone line provider, and then all of a sudden we had access to a searchable, transcribed version of every call we've got, whether it's service, whether it's sales. So we're able to then immediately use that, and we've had to build in our own metrics into that because it scores our calls. It sort of takes what's the word for it? It basically grades a few different levels, whether it's the sales skill, whether it's the customer sentiment, that's it, sentiment. But it is really transformed our ability to really dig deep into, how we approach everything sales and service, and give us actual metrics to sort of aim at, which has been, phenomenal to see.
That's really interesting, and I think particularly in the context of you guys are an online offline business where you sell luxury cruises, and therefore kind of having that phone data is really interesting. I think how are you guys balancing almost kind of the adoption of AI with the human side of it, in that you guys are very luxury focused. Your sales team are kind of the ones in which can certainly speak to the benefits of going on one of Panash's cruises better than anyone else. Is there kind of any trade-offs in which you guys have made throughout, and what's kind of that internal dialogue like?
Not really at the moment. We've kind of drawn a hard line on customer interaction and being people focused rather than any sort of AI level. So we've had offers. Obviously, there are, even within that phone system, there's an ability for them to answer calls, to give information. But we have said, and I've said at this point, and probably long term as well, our whole USP is personal connections. It's about service, and we don't want to mess with that really. It's what's driving our growth. It's what drives our repeat client sort of growth as well, and retention. So we are currently, and I don't see any change in the future, saying that customer focused and customer facing, other than the work that we do with you guys, but even then that is people, isn't it? And it's the AI prompts on when rather than anything else. So we have sort of drawn the line there.
Really interesting. Mark, is that kind of similar approach to what you guys are taking? Yeah. I think particularly at the level that we're kind of operating at, which is at that higher end of the market, where clients expect that kind of white glove, high touch kind of service. We're exactly the same. Like at the moment, I'd much rather, particularly given our products can be quite nuanced in terms of, not to get into the detail, but occupancy and what's available and so on and so forth. That's far better handled, and we'd rather that be handled by someone that has been to the villa, that has seen the location and can build that rapport. But where I can see it coming in, and I'll go back to that, what I said earlier, is on that lead qualification bit, and just trying to get that client to a point where they are engaging, and then we can patch them straight through. So I know you guys obviously have the instant connect feature. That's where I could potentially see it coming in as very kind of light touch, just the initial kind of qualifying before it's then passed straight through to an actual human. I think the other area for us where I think we probably feel more comfortable about AI coming in is perhaps on, as I said earlier, on some of the more the back end stuff. So how do I find this? Has the villa got a coffee machine? All of that sort of very simple stuff that doesn't require a huge amount of sort of human intelligence per se. That's where we could perhaps get a little bit more comfortable with it.
Interesting.
To build on what Alex has said, we use Zoom, and the AI function on call listening is amazing. It's brilliant. The transcripts that it can come up with, but also from, like you say, Alex, from a coaching point of view, it's great. It gives you prompts and gives you a sentiment score. And then also from the sales point of view, getting that profile, the summary that comes through of exactly what the client is looking for, that just saves a little bit of time where you're having to traditionally go in and write in what the profile notes in. You can almost drop those into your email that's been sent to the client to say, this is why we picked this particular property for you, and so on. So that has definitely revolutionized things for us, for sure.
Super interesting. In fact, just going to some of the Q&A questions in which our audience has put to us, I think these will be relevant to kind of both you, Mark, and Alex. I think, are you guys finding customers doing even more research now before they speak to your sales guys?
I wouldn't say a huge amount, to be honest. I think the ones that have come through will generally be, they've just searched, who are the best villa operators or who are the best cruise operators, and it'll come up. They perhaps might do a little bit of research on you, but ultimately they're just coming through and saying, you came up on this search, I thought I'd get in touch with you. That's what we're sort of seeing right now. I can well imagine it in the future once AI gets even more embedded, is that, the clients are going to expect faster, more immediate answers, more relevant, deeply kind of personalized responses. I can definitely see it going that way. I don't think, particularly for our client base, that they're quite there yet.
Interesting. I think one of the things in which has always stood out to me, I guess, within travel as well, is just, I guess, the competition between vendors in accordance with kind of different quotes. I tend to kind of imagine that the typical user journey is you might go to kind of company X, company Y for a similar type of destination. Alex, I mean, how are you guys kind of ensuring that Panache stands out from the competition within these types of conversations, which are very like price driven, i.e., just give me a price, and almost seeming to be kind of digging for the cheapest offer? I think we might have lost Alex. Mark, do you guys see that at all? If we have lost Alex.
Can you just repeat the question for me?
Concerning like a phone call which maybe comes through from someone into the TTT sales team, customers on the phone, they seem to be kind of very, very price driven, and I guess kind of in the context of travel being a very competitive market, what are you guys doing, to ensure that TTT kind of stands out from its competition, and I guess ultimately wins the booking versus for example another vendor?
Yeah, so I think, obviously within sales, speed always sells. So getting your foot in the door first is the most important thing to do. And then it's really about engaging that client in a meaningful conversation to begin with, that one that is, probing and asking the right questions to kind of elicit the information that you need from the client. But then also, getting those so on and so forth in. So I'll just wait for that. And then really about listening to that client and really showing that they feel valued on that call. And of course, then building in all of the USPs that we have within the business here, whether it be the exclusive nature of the villas, whether it be the personalised touring that we can offer off the back of the profile call that we've had, and so on. So that's kind of
interesting.
We would go about it, and I can see how AI would facilitate that. I can see the question in the chat from Lily about how AI has changed the way we approach personalization for sort of high-end clients. I would say we are right at the start of that journey for us, but one very simple thing is that Zoom chat that I talked about, where you've got that transcript, that is a ready-made detailed profile of one of those top level clients that then you can then use forward. A 25-30 minute call that your specialist is having, all of that information is distilled down into a really concise sort of profile that you can then use in the future to enhance, personalize their stay.
Super interesting. Maybe to start, you kind of shift tact a little bit. I think Dan, Sophie, I think one of the things in which has always kind of stood out to me, I guess from a theme perspective, I guess kind of within, I guess, traditional PPC, is PPC costs, or kind of cost per click, seem to be going up month on month. I think from a marketer's perspective, you might be kind of getting less for less ROI from your associated traditional paid media campaigns. How are you guys thinking about kind of driving paid traffic to the website if, for example, kind of costs kind of only go up, and what are you guys doing in order to, I guess, keep those costs down as much as possible?
Yeah, I'll start off, Sophie. I think there's a few different ways to answer that question. From a sort of paid media perspective, we very much lean on sort of first party data and getting quality data to feed into the sort of RLMs to sort of drive down the cost that way. Paid digital can often be over optimized to a degree, and people forget some of the other fundamentals. That might be the quality of your creative being one of the sort of greatest ROI multipliers. So don't forget distinctive quality assets and sort of test those to optimize engagement. But then the other side of it is we do all this effort driving sort of costly traffic to a website. Let's not forget the website. Let's make sure it's sort of got the right user flows, the right user journeys, and we're assisting the consumers on that path to purchase, and put just as much attention, focus, resource there so that we're doing justice to that expensive traffic that we are driving.
Interesting. Sophie, is that a similar thing in which you guys are kind of doing on the new market side of things?
Yeah, absolutely agree with what Dan said. You do definitely have to get smarter with your paid search. So tightening up your targeting, improving your creative, using your first party data. That's one thing that you have that others don't. And test constantly. Have a testing roadmap. Really look at your audience quality as well. So smaller but higher intent segments can really work wonders via remarketing and looking at your lookalike audiences as well. But then also thinking about diversifying some of your spend. So across Meta or YouTube, they're more cost effective for awareness, and then reserve your search spend for some more high intent, more focused keywords there as well. But yeah, like Dan said, don't forget about your website either. If you're spending all this money to get the traffic in, don't forget about them once they land.
Super interesting. From I mean, on that point, I mean, how, I guess, you know, Dan, I'm sure when you sit down with clients, you know, maybe then this year, and you've got, you know, your marketing budget, and I guess if we look at it almost like a pie, and you know, you want to spend kind of X there, Y there. How do you go about, for example, I guess allocating, you know, your resources to, for example, awareness activities like Sophie touched on YouTube or other kind of creative mediums? You know, what does that kind of decision process look like, and you know, are there any kind of recommendations in which you might make to kind of the audience in accordance with that?
Yeah, I think it's easy to get sucked into spend in return, and that's what you can see within paid search, for example. You know, I've spent this and I've clearly got this back, but actually we're forgetting the sort of broader role of marketing. So we always start by taking a step back when it comes to strategy. Do your audience, your competitor, your marketplace research. And then look at, okay, so where is my awareness versus activation split? Where should it be for my budget? And then lean on a lot of sort of econometrics tools to understand what that means in terms of your media mix. So you're not spending 90%, you know, within sort of that lower funnel paid digital activity, and that you do have that broader mix. Because like I say, it is easy to get fooled by the figures, but if you constantly go into that activation paid search end of things, what you'll find is that over time, your brand searches start to decline. So you do really need that good balance of awareness activation, awareness being that sort of more upper funnel video, BVOD, SVOD, YouTube type channels.
Interesting. And maybe just kind of touching on the on-site conversion stuff, because I think, you know, I guess your role kind of is somewhat centered on driving the high intent traffic towards the website, but then I guess kind of shifting into concerning the website's ability to actually kind of convert the traffic in which is I guess reaching it. You know, what types of things are you guys doing to ensure that you're generating maximal conversions from your kind of, you know, your paid or awareness efforts?
Yeah, so website conversion, very much you're looking at UX and CRO. So analyzing that end-to-end journey, seeing where the drop-offs are, seeing where an engagement is are, what do the landing pages looks like, running through that analysis, and then it's a case of that test and learn process, like Sophie mentioned. So A/B test different versions of landing pages, look at different flows for your booking engine, and it's really that continuous optimization that sort of nudges the needle up and up until you do have that 5-10% yearly increase. Can't expect overnight fixes. It's by going through that sort of hard graft of testing that you do get those gains.
How do you balance that, like that nudging, I guess, kind of incremental drive, with which I guess the testing roadmap is designed to achieve with, for example, maybe kind of one of your clients is hungry desire to grow 100% year on year. What does that kind of, that match look like?
Yeah, it's difficult. Expectations and reality can be two different things, but it's about having that balanced view and making all of the pieces of the puzzle work together. If you can be better across everything and don't have any big gaps, then that's where we see the sort of bigger growth can come from. And making sure that, if you're focusing on zero, you're not forgetting about your SEO and that you have that full funnel strategy, but you're also talking about your post-sale and sort of CRM journeys as well. So it's that overarching sort of marketing picture, really.
Super interesting. Cool. I mean, that's kind of a really some really good insights there. Alex, look, good to have you back. I think you might have been having some technical issues. Good to see you. I think maybe just to wrap up kind of on I guess the sales side to this conversation. Are there any things in which you'd recommend to the audience, Alex? Maybe from your insights, I guess, sitting in kind of the top seat on the sales side at Panache, concerning kind of what they should be doing in order to, I guess, improve, for example, if we focus on a specific metric, maybe lead to sale. Are there some things in which you guys are doing with which are kind of particularly effective, for you and your team? And I guess kind of, any recommendations would be great.
Yeah, of course. I think I actually just saw a question pop up with a similar theme there on the side about how to reduce decision-making time and if AI can help with that. I think one thing we have been able to do is supplement the work our product team does with picking out the best deals, especially in cruise. There's a huge variety of offers, especially as we're in the month of November and Black Friday looms. But even as we move into peak season, we are able to use AI to analyze offers in a whole new way, allowing us to really present us some better options or to help us, go through all the sort of technical and commercial elements of all the different offers we've got through all our cruise line partners and pick out the best ones. So by doing that, we then reduce decision making because we know that's what clients want, and it gets the right product and the right offers in front of them at the right times. So that's probably a key thing that we're doing at the moment.
Super interesting. Super interesting. That's really good insight. Mark, are you guys kind of, what types of things are you guys doing to kind of maximize lead to sale over at TTT?
I mean, I wouldn't say we've fully embraced as I said earlier, we're not quite at the point of AI speaking to clients and so on. But obviously through you guys, we have the chat function, which I could see, and we're exploring how we can bring in a chat function that has that same level of human touch, because ultimately, I want to get the sales team working on leads that are further down the funnel. So anything more that AI could do to, move those people down the funnel so that they are closer to booking would be a big advantage. I think the other thing that we've just started looking at as well, and I know there's Zoho, for example, have their inbuilt sort of lead scoring system. So bringing in something like that where you could add in, different layers of, the type of client they are, their spend, so on and so forth, to then be able to grade your leads, which then will help you decide, which markets to go after. But yeah, back to your question about, what would you recommend? I mean, if people haven't got it, I would definitely explore the whole AI piece on your calls, because that definitely such a big difference, both from a coaching point of view, but also from a day-to-day sales point of view. Just being able to go back to that call, what was it that client said? You're not having to listen to 20 minutes of the call to find that little nugget of gold. You can literally type it in and it will come up. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that insight. I think just to maybe just kind of flick it over to the poll. I think we ran a poll of kind of the last 10 minutes, and I think concerning the question, how much of your traffic do you think will come from AI search mediums by the end of 2026? And I guess it seems that we're kind of, a little bit in between less than 20% and 40%. So I guess certainly a certainly a shift. I think, Dan, I just saw your face move a little bit. What's your kind of thoughts on that as a percentage?
No, I was probably around where I'm expecting. I mean, every business is different, and every business reliance on paid media is different as well. So, those that have invested in long-term sort of organic strategies will have that more sustainable traffic levels coming from organic. So it's hard to put an exact figure. What I would say is that, its influence is going to increase, but whether it's sort of traffic levels go alongside that, I'm not so sure. It might be that your conversion rates increase, but your traffic levels come down.
Interesting. Cool. Look, I think that's probably a good place for us to wrap up. I think a really kind of insightful discussion from Dan, Sophie on the kind of paid digital side of things concerning how a travel brand is able to generate the maximal exposure from the rise in AI search, to Mark and Alex concerning, I guess, sales and operational efficiencies with which they're kind of utilizing AI, such as the phone piece, in order to, I guess, drive that recommendation engine and facilitate additional bookings in a competitive market. I think maybe just the last question, and I'm super glad we didn't get any Jonathan Ross celebrity traders questions from the Q&A. This sort of things, that's a big tick in my box. Maybe just to kind of wrap up, could I just get maybe kind of one recommendation nugget from each of you to our audiences concerning some of the tools in which you guys are using, which are kind of really you'd kind of potentially advocate for going forward. Doesn't have to be conversion related at all. That wasn't the purpose of that question at all. Dan, let's kick off with you. I know you're a big SEMrush fan from earlier.
Yeah, I think we've talked quite a bit about those sorts of tools. One thing I would say is try and join the digital journey with the offline journey, so you can report end to end and look at ways to achieve that, and potentially feed that back into your marketing as well. We know we've talked about using AI in call transcripts, but how can you feed the quality of that back in to influence your marketing directly? I think that's a really good focus for brands, because we do see a big disconnect between what happens digitally and actually what back end performance looks like for a business.
Cool. Thank you so much, Sophie. Any nuggets on your end to share with the audience?
I think don't lose sight of the customer. It's them that we're there to serve at the end of the day. So I think the brands that humanize digital and kind of understand who the customer is, what their pain points are, will win at the end of the day. I think if you come at it as a holistic approach, combine all your channels, cross-channel thinking together, and run it as one unit, you'll be successful.
Awesome. Great advice. Alex, to you. Anything you'd recommend?
Yeah, I mean, not far off what Sophie's saying, but what sets service offering. So my recommendation for whatever business you're looking at is, what is your North Star, and then what can you specifically do to sort of maintain focus on that part of the business, whether you're growing quickly or not. Don't get that. You're like Sophie said, you can't lose sight of what's important to you. For us, that is the customer.
Thank you so much, Mark. What would be your kind of last nugget for us before we shut down?
Yeah, I mean, I just thought Daniel's point about joining the dots is a really important one as well. So you can glean so many insights, like you say, from those transcripts and so on, and obviously that can then influence the client and the sale, but then it's about feeding that back into the wider business, whether it be marketing so that they can drive more leads, but then also your operations teams and so on and so forth. So I think that's a really pertinent point. Cool.
Well, look, I think thank you all of you for joining us on today's discussion. I think we've really enjoyed it. First webinar, hopefully, of many in this travel related series. Thank you to all of our audience, who kind of our 50+ audience who joined us online. Thank you for not asking me Jonathan Ross or celebrity traders related questions. That's awesome. And enjoy the rest of the day. And we're really excited to collaborate with you guys. And thank you again for joining us.
Brilliant.
Thank
you guys. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye guys.